The night continues.
Hello and welcome to the Cavern of Terror.
Halloween 2 stars Jamie Lee Curtis, Donald Pleasence, and is directed by Rick Rosenthal. Picking up after a fallen Michael Myers seemingly vanishes after being shot 6 times. I shot him 6 times! 6 times! I swear he's not human! I'll be honest with you guys, I originally wasn't planning on reviewing the rest of the franchise. At least right now. It's true. It's true. I planned on doing the rest of the Final Destination franchise and then moving on to Wrong Turn. But then something happened. I watched Halloween 4. I know I didn't watch Halloween 2 first, but hear me out. You can grab your pitchforks and light your torches later. I promise. My buddy Lee from over at Drumdums really was the catalyst for my investment in this series, especially his love for Halloween 4. Long story short, after I checked out the return of Michael Myers, I was instantly hooked. I had to review this franchise. I couldn't do it alone though. I had to bring my Michael Myers guru along for the ride. With that said guys, you are going to see Lee from over at Drumdums pop in occasionally over this series. In preparation for this review, I did a double feature. I popped in the first film and went directly to part 2 after the first one ended. I've heard it said before by the almighty Leezus himself, and I will echo his thoughts. The flow from Halloween 1 to Halloween 2 is perfect. I bet you most people, if they hadn't known that Jamie Lee Curtis was wearing a wig in part 2, wouldn't know that there was a 3-year gap between these films. John Carpenter did not return to direct this 1981 sequel, but he did stay on to write the script. That being said, I do have to praise the work of director Rick Rosenthal. His direction is the closest you can get to perfection to a sequel to a classic horror film, or a film in general. Keeping things horror related, we can compare this situation to Psycho and Psycho 2. As far as the script goes, there are some parts that are stellar, right up there with the original. Others, not so much. I don't know, it might just be a personal thing for me, but I found myself checking out when nothing was happening. This could also point to the editing as well. I feel like some scenes could have been trimmed slightly to speed up the pacing just a bit. Pacing aside, I think that the characters are probably the biggest dip in quality here. Multiple new characters are introduced and maybe 2 of them are developed enough for you to care about their well-being. You could also say that 1981's Halloween 2 suffers from the Rob Zombie Halloween syndrome. If you ask me, I'll tell you that I don't really mind the characters in Rob Zombie's vision. It only builds on the foundation of the world he created. No idea what I just did with my hands. Don't worry, I do have a point though. As far as this film goes, an empty-headed nursing staff and an aging player aren't exactly great characters to move your story forward. They only work to drown Jimmy, figuratively. He's one of the only level-headed characters here with a clear motivation. Speaking of level-headed, the furthest you can get from that is Dr. Loomis, especially in the later sequels. Halloween 2 marks the beginning of Crazy Loomis. I love Crazy Loomis. He's just as badass, if not more badass than he was before, and he steals every single scene he's in. What can I say? Donald Pleasence is the man.
Tell the sheriff I shot him.
Who?
Tell him he's still on the loose.
Is this some kind of joke? I've been trick-or-treated to death tonight.
You don't know what death is.
Laurie Strode, however, played once again by Jamie Lee Curtis, is unfortunately kind of just there. Aside from an emotional scene with Jimmy and the second act confrontation with Myers, we only really get a lot of this. Don't get me wrong, Curtis does get across the point with her version of Laurie this time around, but I guess I just wanted more. Let's talk about Michael Myers. I'll admit it, I've been gradually warming up to Michael Myers since I started this series. You're always gonna be my boy. The portrayal by Dick Warlock only makes me like Michael even more. Is he cat-like and mysterious like Nick Castle? No. And he can be on the robotic side, but he's still every bit as intimidating. As I said guys, Lee from over at Drumdums is gonna pop in every once in a while to talk about a few key things. Here's one of his favorite scenes in Halloween 2. Take it away, Drumdums.
What's up guys? I'm Lee from Drumdums. You might remember me from Zach's first Halloween review. Halloween is like my favorite franchise ever. I've already reviewed the whole franchise. But Zach asked me to say, maybe just a minute or two, a few words about, whatever movie he's reviewing. Right now he's doing Halloween 2. I wanted to talk about a particular scene that I love out of this movie, and that is the final showdown between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers, and specifically Loomis. Once Loomis gets into the gas room of the hospital. I think out of all the movies in the franchise, this particular scene is probably my favorite scene because of the sense of finality to it. Really, John Carpenter did not want to do any more Michael Myers movies after part 2. And if you watch that end scene and how it all plays out with the explosion and everything, you would totally get where he was coming from. This was going to be the end of Michael Myers. That scene is just so emotional, and you can tell that there's a little bit of a sadness in Loomis that, that he feels like he failed. This whole thing is coming to an end, and he's ready to just die. He's ready to just give his life to save Laurie. He figures if there's any good thing that I can do out of this whole thing, then I will save Laurie. And so it's like his ultimate sacrifice. His whole life with Michael Myers has really just been his ultimate failure. I'm sounding a little bit like Yoda in The Last Jedi, but just bear with me. And so that really is what this scene is. It is the final showdown between Loomis and Myers. And I think that's one of the big reasons why I love this scene so much. Also, it's crazy too because we get to see how insanely evil Myers is. I mean, he takes 2 bullets straight to the eyeball. Insane. So anyway, thank you, Zach, for letting me jump in on this. I love being able to talk about Halloween. And thank you guys for checking me out. You can check me out at Drumdums if you haven't. And Zach, back to the review.
As awesome as Laurie Strode, Michael Myers, and Dr. Loomis are, the real star of Halloween 2 has to be the cinematographer Dean Cundey. Cundey brought everything he brought to the original Halloween and shot it with adrenaline here in the second installment. Color grading is something I've started to notice more and more in film. It definitely stands out here. Even the red and blue lights on top of the patrol cars that are roaming around Haddonfield are filled with vibrancy. How's the camera work? The camera work! I absolutely love how he stepped up the POV of Myers. He treated the camera as if it was Michael Myers roaming and stalking around the hospital. We as an audience partially don't need that mystery from the original Halloween. We know who the killer is this time around. In the end, guys, I'm going to have to give Halloween 2 1981 a very, 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 very strong This was without a doubt an outstanding sequel to one of the founding fathers of the slasher genre. I might even go as far as saying that this is one of the best horror sequels, well, ever. Yes, to me personally, it has its faults, with some less than developed characters and some scenes that were overly long. But this is a review, and that is subjective. Alright guys, that has been my review of Halloween 2, 1981. What do you think of Halloween 2, the original? Let me know down in the comments down below. I had a lot of fun with Halloween 2, guys. I'll be honest with you, the other day that I watched it, it was the first time I ever watched Halloween 2. I had a lot of fun. This is a good film. Is it as good as the original? Like I said, it's subjective. And up next is Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. I haven't seen it either, so this is going to be fun. I debated not doing Halloween 3 because it's not really considered part of the franchise. It hasn't been officially announced that it's not part of the franchise, but at this point, it still is part of the franchise, so I have to do Halloween 3. I know that Lee has some really cool opinions on that, and I can't wait to talk about Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. I am doing the entire Halloween series, guys, so after 3, I'll be doing 4, 5, 6, H2O, Resurrection, and I will be ending everything with Halloween 2018, or whatever they decide calling the new Halloween film. I am doing another series as well. I'm doing the Insidious series. My next review in that series will be Insidious Chapter 3. That video should be coming out very soon, probably next weekend. Can't wait to get back into that franchise as well. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like, and if you're new to my channel and you want to see more content, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and do not forget to hit the bell button to get notified about all my future videos. as always, if you can, I would appreciate it if you check me out on social media. All those links are in the description box down below. But most importantly, guys, I'm Zach. This has been the Cavern of Terror. Stay metal, my friends.